Namaste. So the question is that if we have realized the psychic being, does it mean the person is transformed? Yes and no. Psychic transformation is the first transformation. So it does transform us to a certain extent, but it is not the complete transformation. It is the first indispensable basis for the next two levels of transformation to develop. The second level is spiritual transformation, the third is supramental transformation. In brief nutshell, when the psychic transformation takes place, it gives the nature the perfect orientation to the light and the right. There is a reversal of consciousness. The values change. And I've already spoken about what happens with the psychic change. The mind automatically, instead of filled with doubts, its thoughts begin to sail toward the divine. Because its mind is oriented toward the light. The heart, instead of feeling all that bitterness, this, that, automatically is filled with the sweetness of the divine love. The vital, instead of living for ambitions and all their satisfaction, wants to serve the divine. And the physical, if it is also transformed by the psychic touch, automatically tends to accept what is good for its health and progress for the sadhana, and automatically tends to reject whatever is not necessary. The mind is filled with wideness and goodwill, the heart with love and sweetness, the vital with a luminous force, and the physical with health and strength. This is the change with psychic being, no less an ordinary change. Wonderful. But the next level of transformation is the spiritual transformation. Now, all these things are yet at a human level, uplifted. But it is like you have turned a bullock cart by some kind of a magic into a aircraft. By completely reorienting, it's a totally different thing. It's a vehicle. Both are yanas. But the bullock cart can take you, or a car can take you, let's say a car which can take you on the road. But this can fly, airplane. But airplane flies, that's when the spiritual transformation begins. The psychic being begins to receive knowledge of an intuitive, inspirational, illumined, revelatory kind from higher planes of consciousness. And therefore the heart and life also begins to undergo a change under the pressure of the higher worlds, higher consciousness, higher states. So while with the psychic change, thoughts tend to turn toward the divine, with the spiritual change, thoughts begin to intuitively outpour the divine revelation and light and knowledge. With the psychic change of the heart automatically turns towards the secret divinity in things. With the spiritual change, higher and higher changes, it begins to manifest more and more of that love which you can find only in the higher planes. Not yet the divine love, but something of that touch. God-like love. Life which becomes a luminous force at the service of the divine becomes truly like an inexhaustible source of pure energy as it opens to higher and higher ranges. The body develops the ability to cure itself without going through that process. Last thing is the body. That prepares for the highest stage. So if the psychic change is like bullock cart life changing into or a motor car changing into an aircraft, or rather, let me put it like that. Bullock cart life, slow, one life, little change, some glimpses, changes into a proper car, smooth car. That's what which notes the goal, has the GPS, knows where it has to go. That is the psychic change. Spiritual change is when it begins to take it like an aircraft. It takes you very far, very high. It expands the consciousness. Spiritual change brings us into contact with the cosmic consciousness. Suffering of others becomes your own. Joy of others you experience as your own. You take the world's grief like Shiva. You give it release into the world. You begin to change into a wider consciousness, so vaster. And with the supramental change, the aircraft changes into a spacecraft with no limits And then the final change where the mind is freed from all error, has the plenary illumination. Intuitive knowledge shows you a part, but it doesn't have the trikal drishti. It's like a what is that? Lightning flash. Suddenly you see in darkness, but you don't see what the lightning doesn't show you. The supramental transformation will make the mind like sun. Nothing is hidden. The heart, which is pouring higher and higher forms of love, is filled with divine love, which is powerful, transformative in its action. The life connected to the divine is freed from all taint of ego and desire in any way, even in a trace it won't come. And it becomes nothing but pure divine energy expressing through an individual. And eventually the body, under the supramental influence over a period of time, will completely escape disease and death and change its substance into something which is luminous, plastic, and of course immortal. That is the change with the supramental. So psychic change, psychic transformation is the first transformation. One can stop there or one can proceed further. Let's proceed further. Held by the mother.